Earlier today, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of a former football coach at a Western Washington State high school who lost his job after praying on the 50-yard line after games. The court sided with Joseph Kennedy in a 6-3 ruling, saying the free exercise and free speech clauses in the First Amendment protect an individual engaging in religious expression. The school district, meanwhile, argued his activities violated the Establishment Clause, which prohibits the government from endorsing a religion. The ruling itself broke down ideological lines, with the 6 conservative judges, including Chief Justice Roberts, siding with the majority. For more, CBS News chief political analyst and senior national correspondent John Dickerson joins me now. So, John, this is the second time in a week the Supreme Court has made rulings extending protections for religion. What do these cases indicate about the historic role of faith in public life in the U.S. and how it may have shifted in recent years?
Well, the case last week was that the court ruled that Maine could not deny state funding to religious schools. So those are 2 rulings in favor of religious practice. And if you look back, a study was done of the Roberts Court, and it came out in April of last year, it found that 81%, there's been an 81% increase in rulings that favor religious institutions under Chief Justice John Roberts. And so it has increased significantly. These latest 2 rulings are in keeping with that trend. And then I would also add that this study also found that what differentiates the Roberts Court rulings on religion is that they tend to be in favor of Christian practice, Christianity, whereas previous rulings on previous courts have been in favor of minority religious rights. So those are 2 big ways in which this court has supported the practice of religion in the public square.
But it's not just a legal moment, it's a cultural moment as well. I mean, we sense that as we talk to people in our social circles, in our street, on our jobs. Give us some sense of the cultural significance of the court striking down such a landmark ruling.
Well, you mean with respect to abortion, or
Absolutely.
with respect to, yes. Well, so abortion, when you look at this court and what it's been doing, it's an extraordinary period we're in right now, where you have the abortion decision, these 2 rulings on religion, and then also the gun case. But let's focus on religion, on abortion. Changing abortion and the way it's treated by the courts for the first time well, not the first time, but so radically in 50 years is something we have to be very humble about in terms of the way it's shaking out. But we know a couple of things. We know that in the immediate polling, women, in the CBS poll, 67% of women disapprove of this decision. By a factor of 3 to 1, women said it will make their lives worse. So that's one huge cultural response. With respect to those who are against abortion rights, this is the payoff for 50 years of hard, consistent work at the wrong end of the cultural movements in America. That is an enormous cultural victory for that movement. I think it also reframes the way anybody must think about the Trump presidency. As Ken Starr, the conservative legal light, put it a year ago, he said that Donald Trump's picks for the Supreme Court cover up a multitude of sins. And this ruling, which is a result of the justices he put on the court, clearly makes him even more of a hero in that group. And then I think finally you have, and again, we have to be humble about where the public will end up on this, but we have a court that is far more political than it once was. You have Republican Senator Susan Collins saying that Justice Kavanaugh misled her about his position on abortion. So you have a senator calling into question the ethics and morality of one of the justices. That's a big deal, and that will further erode. And then finally, the decision itself undoes a precedent. And the reason precedent is held in such high regard is that it adds some stability to the cultural shocks. And when that stability is gone, it can lead, or so the theory goes, to more volatility in politics and the culture.
Would you expect this ruling to push abortion rights to the forefront of the midterm elections or 2024, or is that just too far away?
I think, well, there are lots of reasons it could. We've seen campaigns are more national and ever more so for the last, say, 20 years. And on the left, abortion, raising money to protect abortion rights has been a big part of the liberal cause. On the right, you've seen those who want to do away with abortion raising a lot of money and advocacy with respect to that position. Those two things will be true all the way through our modern politics. That will still be the case. What's interesting is to see how close races treat this issue. And that's still playing out. It is in these initial days after the ruling, the left is certainly fired up. We've seen the marches, we've seen the rage. And again, it's not just about abortion. It's about the fundamental question for women about who controls their decision making. If that is still the case, and Democratic lawmakers make the case that that's what this ruling is about, then that will play a role. But again, as you know very well, it only plays a role that is meaningful if it's in those battleground states in the House or those close races in the Senate. Lots of marches in deep blue areas won't have much of an effect on those races. So that's another thing to watch for.
John Dickerson, great context there. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Scott.